Inevitable cyanide. Once the ore is extracted, it is crushed, finely ground, and like in Tokatindung, dissolved in cyanide. The resulting matter, activated carbon particles for gold recovery, is sent to a gold smelter in Lima, which extracts the gold and resells it, depending on the price of gold. $1,400 an ounce at the moment, of which about $1,000 go back to the Satrami. That makes the average wage here about €300 a month, a lot more than the average Peruvian salary, with some perks, health insurance and a pension fund. And the shareholding owners have also organised the job traditionally reserved for women, the sorting, to be humanised a bit. 65 of them came together as an association. The balaqueras have a very hard job, but they've more dignity than in other places. Here they have a contract, a salary, and social protection coverage.
We have to pick up everything they throw, the rocks. There are many women who work here and up there too, because most men work inside in the mine. It's dangerous. We wear a scarf to protect us from the dust, and the helmet and clothes to protect us a bit.
The village was created by the miners themselves. It is brand new. Before, they lived near the treatment stations a few kilometers away, but they moved to avoid any contamination risks. Today, 3,000 people live in Santa Filomena. They are all dependent on the Satrami, of course. It is responsible for the playground, the garbage collection, the installation of electricity, and the organisation of shuttles with cities in the valley. There's not much wealth, obviously, but it represents immense progress compared to the mud houses of the past. In Santa Filomena, gold has brought happiness.
We see that there's a great demand for gold. People acquire a lot of gold. That's why the price is rising.
Like all miners, Luis carefully follows the price of gold. But the yellow metal has never driven him crazy. He simply knows that it allows him to live, and he dreams only of progress for himself, his family and his peers.
What worries us the most is what we lack the most of in Santa Filomena. What we lack the most is of the most important and vital thing for our health and our lives. Water. Water has a price here. It is perhaps just as precious as gold.
In Santa Filomena, there's one more thing. The solidarity among miners and wives of miners, shareholders or not. With the money of some and the loans of others, Isa Torrisla was able to set up a small boarding home, and her husband is able to have a peaceful retirement.
I settled here to help him. I was a sorter in the mines. I used to make him meals. Afterwards, I opened my boarding house. Now, everything is better. My children were little. I was able to provide them an education.
In Santa Filomena, Isa's children aren't the only ones to attend school. Here, school is mandatory for everyone. And Julio Cesar Melgar doesn't take discipline lightly. He knows that this small village is experiencing a true miracle. Since 2004, not one single child has worked in or around the mine.
The ore that is mined by the fathers is sufficient to respond to the needs of the families, so the children don't have to work. They earn a good living. It is quality gold. There is enough of it. That's why the company doesn't want the children to work, so that the gold can be fair trade, so that it can be worth more far away.
The Santa Filomena project is supported by the International Labour Organization. The Satrami is also counselled by several NGOs to come up with solutions for issues that still arise, particularly those concerning the storage of cyanide or mercury tailings. Here, they listen to a new concept coming from very far away, from Europe: fair trade gold. A promising new market is emerging. Jewelers have become aware that it's better to buy gold that is socially clean and a bit more ecological, even if it means buying and selling it for a higher price to more responsible clients. When the fair trade gold label is worked out, the gold of Santa Filomena, clearly identified, will certainly be worth a few more dollars. Very far from Peru, in the suburbs of Antwerp, the environmental problematic is not exactly the same. We're at the Umicore plant. Here too, gold is made. But it's recycled gold. It already accounts for nearly 40% of the global supply. For gold can be infinitely recycled. We can remelt any old piece of jewellery without losing a milligram of gold, and also industrial waste. At Umicore, the debris arrives in hundreds of tons.
When it comes to gold, to us it's a starting point for everything. Electronic rubble that comes from dismantling computers and other electronic material. Printed cards, as you can see here, whether crushed or not, can contain from 30 to 400 grams of gold per ton of matter. 1 kilogram of gold accounts for the gold content of roughly 50,000 cell phones. Here there are a few cards, over there a few connectors that contain gold. We look at the individual components that contain precious metals. What we're looking at here is equivalent to about 150 kilograms of gold dust. The gold comes out in the form of refined gold, 99.99% pure, either in the form of a 1 kilogram ingot or a 12.5 kilogram ingot.
The gold shot or ingots are almost completely pure and don't pollute too much, but they're not necessarily clean.
No, everyone will say that recycled gold is clean, but, well, there were maybe 10 slaves or 10 prisoners of a Caesar who died extracting it. Or maybe they could be traced back to a crematorium in Auschwitz or Burkina. You never know where it comes from. So clean gold does not exist, no. However, social gold does, and it provides a living for 100 million people in the world.
Unlike Peruvian miners or metal workers in Antwerp, the fishermen of Sulawesi will never live off the gold of Tokatindung. They and their environment even risk dying from it. In 2008, Archipelago estimated the extraction costs at $328 per ounce of gold. Today the ounce is negotiated at around $1,400. The margin is motivating enough, but the price of gold is getting completely out of hand.
How far will the madness go? It's difficult to predict. How about $6,000 or perhaps $8,000, we don't know. It could happen in 2 years, it could happen in a year, 3 years.
The inhabitants of the region won't be able to battle for much longer against the torrents of profit to come. The fight is too uneven.
What is certain, from what we've understood of the government's information, is that the mine will be running one way or another. So anyone who opposes it can expect to come across some trouble.
The gold that will come from Tokatindung, starting in 2011, will no doubt be kept in the form of gold bars in the vaults of the Chinese Central Bank, as a necklace around an Indian bride, or in coins as a nest egg in France. Foreign investors, a few wheeler dealers,